Welcome back, everyone. It's the end of week 3. I want to check in with you all and see how the week has gone with the sugar monster and removing all the refined sugars. And then we'll also touch on enhancements because tomorrow is enhancement day and we'll be changing things up again. So this week is usually an interesting week this first week we're starting to eliminate some things, and it really is a scavenger hunt to dig in and look at ingredients on the different labels. So it's always interesting to see the shock that some people have, and sometimes I get the comment, I thought I was eating healthy until I found all the sugar that's still in the healthy foods, as well as the organic items and different things along those lines. So anyone want to go first? Tell us about their week and what they've discovered and how it's going. Is that a yes, Joan? No?
Okay. First of all, today I feel punk. I don't feel good. And I didn't sleep well last night. And I don't know, that does not have anything to do with sugar and labels. It's an externality.
Okay.
I've done the label scavenger hunt before, more than once. And so it wasn't shocking, but still it was surprising. I told you the last time, but my ketchup thing.
Yeah.
I miss my chocolate.
Okay.
Chocolate.
Veronica's agreeing with you.
There's this thing, it's a great meal. I have a great meal. I've got 793 vegetables. And I'm done eating and I start wandering in the house because I want to finish eating. And before, finish eating was 2 or 3 little squares of chocolate.
Okay.
And it's usually 70 or 85% chocolate, not a lot of sugar. I mean, it's righteous chocolate. And I didn't do it, and I grumbled. But then I started to think about, what is this thing about finishing? I mean, what's that finishing thing is about? I don't exactly have an answer, but what came up was all the movies, where there's a romantic thing or there's a business meeting and the dinner plates go away, and then there's the finishing things. It's social structure, and I hungered for that. I wanted that. I wanted my chocolate, and it was big, and I had no seconds. I had no backup. I did. I had one night. I had a small bag of cheesy popcorn, and I said, "Okay, I'm doing that." And so I called that the finish, but that wasn't right either. I don't remember what was in that popcorn actually. Cheese.
Yeah, cheese, which perfectly fine. Have your dairy and the grains and all that, and enjoy it. Right. So it is a little interesting though, and I'm glad you started to dig in and ask yourself why. What is this rule that I have in place around having chocolate or finishing a meal? Where did it come from? Is it serving me? Is it helping me achieve my goals? Is it fulfilling something? Is there hunger that it's fulfilling? Is there a emotional piece that it's fulfilling? So that's the work as we start to eliminate things, asking ourselves why. Is there so you kind of uncovered a few things there, that it is maybe this rule came from a social rule that was in place that you got from society, and that's how you finish a particular meal.
That, Ryan? I
What's
had
that?
27 years of finishing with a cigarette.
Okay.
So there's a groove, there's a neural groove that's Grand Canyon wide. And, I just sort of look over carefully and say, no, that way. And And it's been over a quarter of a century since I last smoked, so it's still there. It doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you're,
cigarettes finished before.
mm-hmm. And it sounds like, to offset that rule, the alternative was a piece of chocolate, or something, still to do with your hands, or to, maybe it is that little hit of dopamine, or, excitement at the end as well. So along those same lines, I guess, is there an alternative that you could use? It sounds like you, for this one meal, you found the popcorn and the cheesy popcorn. Did that have the same effect, same satisfaction?
Yeah, but there was grief because I knew you were going to like say, cheese is cow pus or something. Something gross. And I'm like, oh, how can I enjoy this? Oh my God. But I did enjoy it.
Is there, what is the, have you asked yourself, well, clearly it's probably an emotional piece. You ask yourself what hunger it is. So can the food angel rationalize that this is not any, thirst hunger, nutritional hunger? It's not low blood sugar hunger. It's not variety or empty stomach. I just finished eating. So this is definitely an emotional rule that's having some biochemical, every time there's an emotion, there's a biochemical response. Yeah. So it's yes, there's, challenges when it comes to emotional hunger, but it's the biochemical response that emotion revokes. If it's a little bit of, cortisol, from a stress standpoint or fear standpoint, and that increases your blood sugar, but then when it goes away, the same type of thing happens where you get the hunger again. And there's lots of things that happen with just cortisol, but the dopamine that I just mentioned, that excitement or that feel good, emotion that you have from it. Is there any additional things you think you could have there that would give you that same type of emotional reaction?
Well, it's interesting. And I don't know if I have a substitute yet, but there's more to burrow into. What's interesting is that the other thing I did smoking that I'm seeing myself wandering now, similar kind of thing, is when I finish something and I'm about to do something else. I haven't started to do that something else yet. And talking to some friends, we were talking about this sort of low-grade anxiety that comes up in a transition, that transitional things cause anxiety. Maybe it's not anxiety, but that's the only word we could come up with. So, because I remember it's not like I do it with chocolate now too, but if I want to go start something else and I'm kind of dithering, I'll have a piece of chocolate and it'll stimulate a distraction basically because it's very yummy and I suck on it, I don't chew it. So it lasts a long time. It's like having a whole cigarette.
Is there also kind of some sense of accomplishment? Like maybe, I've completed that task. It's like a check mark. It's complete, it's done. Maybe even from the meal standpoint, I had a good meal and it was healthy. So it's almost an accomplishment that you ate well.
I don't feel that so much. I feel more like, now what? What do I do next? What do I do with myself next?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, eating a good meal is a good thing. I like it. And I'm not celebrating a good meal.
It's almost an unknown.
So yeah, I don't know.
Some things to continue to evaluate, but there is a little bit of both that's probably going on. There's some emotional things that are happening, but there's also some biochemical things happening in your body as well, that are kind of stimulating.
Right. I'm looking for drugs.
Yeah, that's the short way of putting it.
Oh God, about it, man.
The ones we make or the ones we ingest.
Either way. Yeah. I don't know what to do about it yet, but Any good ideas you guys got? I'm open to hearing about it.
Um,
Okay, we got a few weeks left.
yeah, we'll keep digging into it and seeing what is there. And there may be an alternative thing, you know, from a rule standpoint that we can just tweak and put a new rule in place as well that you know, serves you even better.
Okay, that would be good.
Okay. Anything else from this week? So you have your ketchup and your different sauces that are sugar-free, doing well.
Yeah, and I found some Annie's shiitake salad dressing.
Okay.
You know, when I get over the pile of vegetables is not interesting looking. You know, I was using a little bit of that, and that was very good. That was very nice. I felt good about that. Yeah, I like vegetables anyway, but I mostly I have them naked. You know, and after a while, chewing gets boring.
We always want something to make it more exciting. I'm right there with you. I want spice it up. Any more spices I can put on it, the more spices, the better. Garlic, you know, pepper, whatever it is to spice it up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. So that's my report for the week. It's just been a funky week, generally speaking. And then it was the election, and we can't talk politics, but it was great. And not the election, the inauguration.
Okay. It's been an interesting ride for sure. Who else wants to share about their week and how things are going?
I can share.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Hi, everybody. I am definitely going through detox from sugar, and I've been through this a handful of times, so you know I come to expect it, but it hasn't been this bad. The detoxing, you know, the last couple of days I've been just super foggy and having a really hard time getting up in the mornings. And then when I do get up, I work out, and like just my basic routine makes my head spin, you know, and I get a little lightheaded. And so I'm definitely feeling the effects of the withdrawals from sugar.
Sure. And how are you doing with your fruit then in the morning?
Um, I've been really enjoying putting fruit in the alkagizer and having that the first thing I have.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's been going really well. It's maybe the other two meals that, you know, right now I'm eating grains, which I know, you know, we'll be addressing soon. But I'm eating grains, and I think that, you know, I always mentally think that I'm like carbo loading for something. And so, yeah, so I just kind of overload on carbs, especially now that I can't have, you know, that I'm not having sugar.
And how many you mentioned having fruit in your alkagizer. Are you having additional fruit besides just what you put in the alkagizer? How many pieces of fruit do you think you have serving wise?
Well, I try and put like 3 servings of fruit in the alkagizer.
Okay.
Because I don't have a lot of time in the morning, so it's like I'm walking in the door, throwing the alkagizer together, and then sitting at my computer, working from home.
The other thing, at this point, we want to, we know your sugar monster is riled up, and to me, it actually sounds like because you've got these two forms of metabolism, and it feels like to me in your body that you're not flipping the switch back and forth, and you're kind of on that cusp where we're still getting natural sugars and we're having grains and different things where we would be in sugar burning mode. But during the night or while you're sleeping, you run out of sugar and your body is not flipping into fat burning mode. So when you wake up, you do have low blood sugar and you're getting the dizzy and the lightheaded, and maybe due to some of the insulin resistance that's going on, but you're not getting into the mode where your liver is making the glucose the way it should. So you're getting a little lightheaded and dizzy. So I would probably do more from a fruit standpoint. And if it is not having separate pieces of fruit, maybe even making a separate smoothie that is just fruit. Take 4 different pieces of fruit and blend them up. Maybe a cup of blueberries and strawberries and some orange and mango or banana. Just blend those all up so you get some additional fruit in there. And it sounds to me that you're also doing your exercise before your any fruit or any alkalizer. Is that right?
Yeah.
And for now, as we're going through this, it would be probably easier for you to start off with some fruit before you work out, so that you would burn that during your workout, but you won't have the dizzy, lightheaded because your blood sugar is going too low. So to help balance things out, the fiber that's there will help as well. And we, remember it's a healing process, and we have to get the nutrients in order to start to balance these things out. And it's probably a little early for you to be getting into like a fat burning mode and flipping the switch back and forth, so to speak. So there'll be more to come on that as we go through the challenge, but you would probably benefit from more fruit, and even before you're working out, to help to level that off and not get those dizzy spells. Is there any other time throughout the day that you notice that?
No, but I was gonna ask you for the fruit. I crave the fruit more like all day.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not clear on like, should I be having fruit after a certain period of time?
So it comes down to the food combining. So if you want to have fruit longer and carry it into the afternoon, you just have to make sure you just continually have fruits and vegetables, because fruits and vegetables can be combined together just fine. It's when you start to have proteins and fats and other grains that you would have to cut out the fruit. And if you do switch, say, an example of just having fruit and vegetables for lunch would be to have your salad, but put like berries on it, and use a salad dressing that's like honey mustard, or an orange juice or lemon juice with some honey or some different cinnamon or different spices with it, garlic, or maybe orange juice and garlic or something like that. So dress your salad with some things that are not fat, not oil and vinegar and things that would prevent you from continuing to have fruit. Then you could have fruit even into the afternoon. Now, once you do flip the switch, so to speak, and get into, fats and proteins and things like that, then you want to have probably more, if you feel that low blood sugar hunger coming on, or the craving for anything sugar related, you want to have more complex carbohydrates, ones that have a bunch of fiber in them, but take your body some time to break down. So any of the root vegetables have more complex carbs in them, sweet potatoes and cassava and turnips and beets and yams, and all those different root type vegetables will help to sustain your blood sugar then later on in the evening, so you don't have those cravings.
Thank
Cool.
you. Yeah. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, keep up the good work. Make sure you get plenty of fruit in this next few weeks, and see about changing that up so that you're not necessarily working out on a fasted state, at least for now.
Okay, sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Who would like to go next? Anyone else want to share? Miss LeBlanc, I saw you going for the microphone earlier.
I guess I'll say something. Well, the Sunday before the week, I had a cookie with sugar on it.
Okay, good.
And I wasn't gonna do it, but it's like my friend brought over an inauguration cookie that she made. It's like, Michelle, I'm like, okay, I have to have it. Plus, I hadn't had a cookie since I started the first time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was just one.
The food devil
And it
said
was like,
one, right? Just one.
it was just one. She only made one. But I sat and I ate it. And I kept thinking, you know, I could have a few of these, but it's like, thank God you only got one, which is okay. And then had to really think about things. It's like, well, try not to do that automatic eating and stuff like that. So I took my time and I ate it. It's like I broke off a little piece at a time to eat it, just to see what does it taste like. It just tasted like sugar and well, vanilla extract. That's all it tasted like anyway.
Yeah.
And so throughout the week, I ended up having bacon on Wednesday because I decided to go to the park. And I went to go eat at the little place again at the Children's Museum because it's in the middle of the park and it's a cool little outdoor cafe. And so I always have to ask them a bunch of questions. And I felt like eating eggs and bacon, but they had a burrito. But I said, can I just have the eggs? He goes, you don't want the tortilla? I said, no. He goes, well, we have corn. I said, no. And I said, I don't want cheese. And he looked at me and goes, okay. And I said, well, can I have tomatoes? And he goes, yeah. And I said, then I'll just have the bacon, eggs, and tomatoes. And I sat there. I was really enjoying the bacon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, well, there's probably sugar in it. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's inauguration day. It's going to be over with. And it's going to be like months down the road before I have bacon again anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I got home, it's like, I was still craving something. So I had my alka-drizer. Then I thought, I want a sweet potato. It's like, I had to top it off. It's like, okay, I'm still craving the sweet.
Yep. It's Joan and her finisher.
Right. So mine was the sweet potato. It's like, I'm going to have the sweet potato. And that did it. I felt better after I had the sweet potato. I was fine. And so, and then today, since work has been slow, I've been really anxious. And I noticed that's when I have this, my head goes into a spin. It's like I'm really hungry. I want to really eat. And then I'm like, stop. Just stop, because it's not your hunger. That's your anxiety that wants to go eat and constantly fill the void of whatever it is that you keep wanting to fill because you're anxious because it's slow and you're getting worried about a bunch of stuff. So I had to really stop and just sit down. It's like, just, then if you're gonna eat something, just eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of greens, make a bigger soup. That was one thing. It's like, okay, because I make the bone broth, I save it and either make a soup with it or I use it to steam vegetables or, you know, stir fry stuff in. So it's like, okay, if you're that hungry, just add more greens.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really add that much more greens. I just had a normal serving and that was okay. It's like, okay. So I have to keep thinking of the anxiety that makes me want to really eat. Makes me want to eat more. Makes it, because it doesn't, makes me want to feel like I'm really, really hungry and I'm not really, really hungry.
Mm-hmm.
It's just filling that void. So
Yeah, that's a great observation. So you're listening to your emotional hunger and you're seeing that that anxiety is causing, that I need to do something. I should go find something to eat. And you're trying to fill that. And then also when you're in this sugar burning mode, that this roller coaster ride that you're on, you do have that low blood sugar hunger as well. That's causing me to say, I need more sugar. So you want more things that are sweet, hence the breakfast that you had, and then it just wasn't done. I was still looking for something, and the sweet potato seemed to satisfy it. So more from a low blood sugar hunger standpoint, and watching how the sugar monster, kind of gets riled up when it needs, what's next.
And I was at the store and I was looking at the good chips that you guys are talking about. It's like, I looked at it. It's like, I don't need to have a cascade because this is just going to lead to the other crunchy stuff. It's like, I looked at it, I'm like, not today. I don't need to start eating chips because chips lead to potato chips. Those chips, it's like, well, we like crunchy things. I found some paleo crackers, the Mills, the something Mills.
Simple Mills. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was surprised the other day, I only ate 5 of them.
Okay.
Usually that bag would be gone within like the morning and the evening, the whole box. I mean, it's not big, but still.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing. It's like I only ate 5 of them, and I was like, okay.
That's good.
You tasted it. It was okay. They're not the best tasting crackers, but they crunched.
Crunch, right? They satisfy the crunch.
Right. So.
Good.
But,
Sounds like you had a pretty good week and learned some things in the process. So that's what it's about.
Okay.
For you.
I'm so upset.
What's that, Joan? Your bacon? It's got sugar in it?
No, there's no added sugar.
Okay.
Well, however, cured with. Anyway, I guess I had it.
So the scavenger hunt does continue as you continue to find the hidden sugars.
When she's talking about bacon and craving bacon, I'm going, why do you crave bacon? You could just have Kirkland crumbles. And then I read the label and I said, damn.
Yep. Bacon, there are a few manufacturers out there that don't use sugar. Some paleo bacons, like maybe it was Michelle V that was mentioning Applegate and Welshire Farms. There's a couple that I can find here locally, but there's a few different manufacturers now that are not using not using sugar in their bacon. It's been a long week already. Who else wants to share? Veronica?
Sure, I can go. So this week has been different for me. I noticed that I'm eating more of the rice crackers, I'm not hungry because I said I'm full from by the time I have the water and then the celery juice and then the fruit smoothie, that's already my breakfast. And then I don't really feel hungry to have something for lunch, but I'll just snack on crackers all day because I just sit and I work from home. So I'm okay, I'll just sit there and eat these rice crackers for the sake of eating them. So I don't know, I'm not hungry, but I'm still eating them.
So you just wanting something to do and to
just bored. Yeah, I think working from home.
So I've been sitting at the computer and doing more from a working from home perspective, and being in a fruit season like this with all the fruit. I really just make some different fruit smoothies. Looking at, let's see, I'm just trying to add up the number of servings that I have. So there's blueberries, there's mango, oranges, dragon fruit. Yeah, there's probably a good 7-8 different fruits. And it's probably 4 good size, smoothie jars.
Containers.
Yeah,
Right.
containers. But I just graze on that all day. And I have a good sized dinner, but with all my vegetables and other things. But for the most part of the day, it's just different fruit, conveniently in a smoothie. But I may have like a pear or something like that as well, just to snack on. But
I think my issue is like I'm not hungry, but I'm just eating for the sake of eating, right? Like, yeah, like I don't know why. It's just I'm bored, so I just sit there and like, as I'm working, just pick up a rice cracker, throw it in your mouth, and keep going. By the time you look, the package is done. You're like, what happened? Did the kids eat it? I'm like, no, it's me.
Yep. Unconsciously just snacking.
Yeah, you're just like, what happened?
Do you keep your water within reach as well?
I do. I do have my water, my lemon water, first thing in the morning, and then I do have that container that I do fill up. But then the more I drink it, of course, the more I have to get up and go to the bathroom. So slows down the production. But
so we're gonna have to create a new rule. We're gonna have to put a new rule in place. It cannot be within arm's reach of your desk when you're. You have to leave the package in the pantry and take a handful or a small bowl or something like that, and only take that amount with you to the.
Yeah, cover. Sorry.
So
my assistant here.
You can help mommy out.
You gotta help mommy
Got that?
with those rice crackers. Make sure I don't eat them. If I eat them, you say bad mommy. Okay? No?
She's like, no, you're not bad.
That's a good rule. I'll try that. I'll keep them upstairs. My office is in the basement.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll try that. See how that works.
And then if you drink more water every time you go up to go to the bathroom, you'll have to get more crackers.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing, Ryan? I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll see. The other thing I wanted to mention was the breathing. Like before I used to be really good at, morning and then night, but now I kind of just forget. Any suggestions on how I could put a system in place so that I don't forget to do it?
So it sounds like it was part of your routine. The easiest way to create a new, habit or new practice is to create some type of trigger that reminds you to do it. So take something that you're already doing and just add on to it. So if you brush your teeth morning and night, then add that on there. But if you want to do it something throughout the day, is there something you regularly do, in the morning or noon or lunchtime or afternoon that is already in place that would check your email? And when you check your email, either do the breathing exercises before you check, because it's like, oh boy.
I could do the first thing in the morning before I brush my teeth. I could do it then as my trigger or right after. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
So just have those trigger points so that you just tie them together. It's easier to link them all together. Jim Quick talks about it in linking things together in our memory. It just helps to remind us.
Okay.
Or you can create some visual image, something silly that you'll remember as well. I don't know of something that reminds you to breathe. If it's a hot air balloon taking off or animal yawning, right where. Something that is, that's got that visual that may stimulate it as well is another way of looking at it.
Okay. I'll see what I can do. I'll report back next week to let you know.
then there's always the electronics, set the timer to go off, 3-4 times a day.
But then you just go dismiss. You don't do it.
You don't do it. Tried that, done that before.
Try that. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I'll do it later. Right? Dismiss. I like the idea of adding as part of something that you're already doing, because then it's like a routine, like you said. You do one thing and then, okay, as soon as I finish, I have to do that. So I'll try that.
You have your Apple Watch and it comes up, breathe, or it's time to walk.
Oh yeah.
Time to
It'll
move
say
around.
move. Yeah. And I'll be like, I can't now. Like, I'm in a meeting. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, take that extra second to recognize, why am I canceling that and not making this the priority, and making whatever we're doing the priority. And if it is like, well, I was right in the middle of something and I was going to be distracted, how do you, snooze it, so to speak, so that it comes back up again as soon as you finish,
Right. 1 second, wait 1 second, okay. 1 second, okay. Okay, go get something to eat. Yeah.
Something to check out.
Sorry.
Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, will do.
The key is to continue to bring that conscious awareness to everything that you're doing. And when you start to forget things, you're getting in, maybe wrapped up in something that is not necessarily the present moment. Because when you're in the present, then and you have that awareness, things will come to you that you need to know in that particular instant as they unfold. So.
Right. Okay.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Thank you. I'll try it. Thank you.
We got a few more minutes here. Anyone else want to share how their week 3 is gone? No sugar?
Sure, I'll go.
for it.
So it's been going okay, except for one day. It was Tuesday, and I was out and about, and so I said I would get lunch out, and I mean that's always the problem, is eating out. And so I went to this soup place, Zoop. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. Anyway, so I go there, and then I'm looking, and half of them are creamy, so they got like dairy in them, so those are all out. And then the other one, I was like, okay, can you try and put the sugar in that? And then she had to go in the back and print it out and print me this thing, and of course there was sugar in it. And so then I get the next one, and you guys goes, print it out, and there's sugar, and there is sugar. It's kind of down the list, and I'm like, is there going to be sugar in everyone, and I'm going to make her like run around the whole shop? And so so I just had the one with sugar, and then I was like, oh, they give you a piece of bread with it. Well, I want to have the bread. Of course I had the bread, and then I had another bread. And so I did. I enjoyed it. It's just frustrating because it's not like it's a sweet soup, and there's just no need for it. Like, it was so far down the list, there was no need for it. And should I have like stuck to my guns? Probably, but when you're hungry and you're like, possibly there's nothing in here I can eat. So yeah, just kind of disappointed myself for that, but also finding ways to justify it or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I've been there, and being here in Ohio, same place, downtown, going to a board meeting, and there's on the corner is a Zoop, place to have soup, and the guy invited to lunch. Where do you want to go? Well, I love that place. He always loves soup, and I was like, okay. And knowing that, I was like, there is nothing here I'm going to be able to eat. So what am I going to do? So I'm looking. I went with the salad. Do they have salads there too?
Did, but it's cold. I don't feel like eating salad in the cold.
Okay, so there's more to this conversation than because I ended up going with the salad because I was like, well, I don't have to put any dressing on it or anything. I know the lettuce is just lettuce and the tomato is just tomato. So
yeah, no, I didn't even think about having a salad because I love soup, so I went for soup. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So just interesting to be aware of that you already eliminated half the menu and you didn't even, because you had your mind almost set up on, I want the soup, and that's, so in essence, you kind of made the decision before you went in there and consciously chose, maybe not completely consciously, that, I'm going to have soup and I don't care what the ingredients are, but, I tried. So the angel kind of like justified it. I asked her.
Yeah, it was like, chicken soup. And then the other one was like cauliflower soup. And I was just like, well, why?
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, ask them for some feedback and say, hey, can you not include sugar in one of your soups so that you do have at least one option? But the more we get out there and share our feedback and vote with our money, maybe it'll continue to change. So did you feel, what was your emotion after having it?
It was good. I felt okay.
As long as you're not, making yourself feel, guilty or something because, you chose to have it.
Yeah, it was a very healthy soup, except for that sugar, it's like cauliflower, North African cauliflower or something. So all in all, it did taste really good, and I couldn't even taste the sugar. The bread, it tasted really good. I knew it was going to be going soon. Sorry, spoiler alert. And so we used to give myself extra leniency with the bread this week. Actually, I booked in my favorite restaurant this weekend that has the best bread in Cleveland.
Imagine what's happening during this buffer zone. We'll talk more about that in just a moment.
So yeah, that was it then. Like, my evening chocolate is like the one place at home where I have to have sugar, and I've just been having tea without it, and it's been okay. Kind of miss it, but okay.
So in the rest of the day, then you haven't had any issues from a scavenger hunt, so to speak. There wasn't any things that crept back into your pantry or your refrigerator that may need to go, or?
No, I've been pretty good. Like every so often, if I'm having a day, I'll be like, maybe I'll have chocolate. But the idea of chocolate in the afternoon, it's almost like that childlike rule breaking, where you're like, I'm going to sneak some chocolate during the day, as if like you're like sneaking it from someone else or something. So unless I was having a day where it's like a big time like reward, or like some, the day is I need the chocolate for some reason, I would never have it during the day anyway.
So one of the things that I would like you guys to get to is when you, and it sounds like you did for this one, and you may even for this dinner this weekend. You're consciously choosing to have it anyways, knowing what the consequences are. So enjoy it. You chose to do it. And if you are not clear on what the effects of it are, listen to your body and see and pay attention to that. Over the years, it's gotten very clear to me, based off of what my body wants and doesn't want, that, I can have a pizza that has gluten in it and a bunch of grains, or I can go and do, bread, and I have every once in a while, but I definitely know what I'm getting into as far as the payment from it as well. So sometimes it's just a little more obvious for some than others. But just remember that there isn't anyone, human species on this planet, that can digest gluten. And the proteins that are in gluten, one of them is gliadin, actually, opens up our intestine and allows more different things to go through. That can be fine to do every once in a while, but if we're constantly hitting the garage door opener and opening it up, our immune system is going to be like, what the hell? I can't deal with this all the time. And that just adds extra stress to our body. And then that starts a whole cascade of issues that start to develop from there on out. So,
Yeah, that first week I actually joined the call with Eric Edmeades, and so at the end he was having a Q&A, and I asked him whatever question, but what he said was, I said, I do WildFit most of the time, and he said there's a big difference between, I do WildFit 90% of the time, which is like 9 days out of 10 I'm good, and like one day I'm not, versus every day I do 90%.
Yep.
And so I had been, I feel like I have been doing like 90% every day rather than the other way around, which, is giving your body rest.
Exactly.
Well, when it comes to sugar, I've been doing like the 90 every day, but when it comes to the bread and other things, I feel like I've been better at doing that. But anyway, that was just his wisdom.
Mm-hmm. And for those that are going through at the end, when we get to our WildFit constitution and how we're going to live WildFit, we're going to put food into different categories, and that's just it. We're going to label the food as rarely or occasional. So where was bread on your list of frequency as far as
like
often?
rarely, yeah.
Okay, so a little more specific in what's rarely for you, because rarely for me means maybe a few times a year.
Okay, my rarely would be a couple of times a month.
Okay, so that's how many times then in the last 4 weeks have you had bread?
Probably more than 4.
So, where is it really on your, and so I want you this time around to get very specific on your constitution and how those frequencies are, and why you have them where you do, and if that's serving you or not. Maybe we shouldn't, what's the right word? Trick ourselves into saying that it's rarely, because that's what Ryan would want to hear, or somebody else would want to hear, when really it's occasional.
Oh, I forgot about that occasional category. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's occasional. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say is occasional, if it's from a weekly standpoint. I usually see occasional as something from a weekly standpoint, and rarely is more the monthly or almost yearly type of situation. So the reason I bring this up is because it's going to help you shift away from 90% every day to 90% being just one day out of 10. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference, to be able to give your body the time, the break to heal, and instead of inflaming your intestines, because that's what it's doing, is constant inflammation every time you have it. Your intestines can heal, and that inflammation that occurs that one day may go away in a day or two, and you'll be back to absorbing the nutrients and the things that you should. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the work this time around. Get clear on your constitution.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we got a few minutes, and I do want to share a little bit about the enhancements. Moira was just mentioning the things that may be coming. So for the enhancement day tomorrow, we are going to be eliminating a few more things. I do want you to continue doing your breathing exercises. Make sure you drink your 6 to 8 glasses of water. You should be having your alkalizer, mild or prime, either with or without fruit. At this point, you should be having 4 to 9 pieces of fruit first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, or combined with other vegetables. And don't forget about it increasing your quantity, quality, and variety of vegetables that you have with lunch and dinner. we've removed refined sugar. So these are all cumulative. And now that we've removed refined sugar, we're going to remove the rest of the junk sugars. So the average American has, what is it, 152 pounds of sugar a year, 158 pounds of sugar, 152 pounds of sugar, 148 pounds of flour. Well, the sugar statistic seems to get more attention, but the flour statistic is like right there next to it. And it's probably worse from a flour perspective because all of that gets converted to sugar. So it's just like having sugar. But then you have also the issues of, it lodging in your intestines, blocking the absorption of other things. It's like plaster on the inside of your intestines. So you're not, decreasing the absorption of all the good stuff, but then also the inflammation that I was just talking about as well. So the junk sugars we're going to be removing are dairy because it's got lactose and other sugars in it. All the grains, because they all get converted to sugar. There's not much there from a nutritional value standpoint, and as well as the white potatoes. From a white potato standpoint, it's usually how we prepare them because, just having, for one, you have to cook it. You can't really eat it raw. And when we do cook it, a lot of times it's just not, boiled or baked because having a plain potato is just plain. Right. So you want to put on there the butter and the cream and the cheese and the bacon and the chives and, you name it, the chili and all those other things that we put on the potatoes along with them. So, we can talk about the different alternatives that we can use for some of those, but there are bonus videos that unlock. So if you haven't seen the bonus video on water, and I think there's one on travel already as well, there'll be additional bonus videos that unlock for dairy and grains. Encourage you to listen to those. Eric wrote a book about dairy called The Dairy Delusion. So you get a PDF copy of that unlocks, that's underneath the video. So you can read more about dairy. There's also some documentaries about the dairy industry. It can be a little graphic, but encourage you to take a look at those as well. And if you need anything else from the science behind it as to why we shouldn't have it either, let me know. I'll fill in the gaps, let you know the studies and how it's proven. There's a reason why we have a healthcare crisis going on in this country with the diet that we have, and anything I can do to help to reverse that, I'd be love to share.
Can I ask the link between dairy and breast cancer? I've read about that. What's happening with that link? Have they done further studies or?
So the thing with, cow's milk, it's coming from the mother, and the mother is producing it for the baby calf, and it's got all these hormones in there for the baby calf to develop. So when we consume any of those dairy products that are made out of milk from another animal, it may say no hormones added, like they haven't been injecting the cow with additional hormones to get the mother to produce more milk, but there's just natural hormones that are there. And when we are consuming them, it attaches to our receptors just like it would the animal receptors. So a lot of certain cancers, it's cells growing out of control. They proliferate quickly, but what they're feeding on and what they have receptors for are those additional hormones. So they actually stimulate, those cancerous cells to replicate faster and cancers to grow. Now, the other thing I can get even deeper from an estrogen standpoint. If you're not eliminating estrogen, maybe your pathways in your liver maybe you're short on B vitamins, maybe you're not methylating well. There's 3 different pathways that estrogen gets eliminated from your body. And if you're not methylating well, it gets converted over to a different pathway. But the problem with that pathway is it leads to, it's 4-hydroxyestrone that is actually oxidative and can cause DNA damage. So that's actually what's causing the the DNA to change where the cells may be replicating out of control. It's because we're not eliminating the estrogen and it's accumulating in our body, and we don't have the right way of eliminating it. That's one of some of the tests that I do from a functional medicine side of things to see exactly how your elimination pathways are working for all of your hormones. If it's androgens, estrogens, testosterone, if it's, methylation that needs to be fixed, if you're short on a B vitamin, or maybe you need more cruciferous vegetables because you need DMAO or one of those other chemicals to help you eliminate estrogen. But the pathways are all mapped out. We know where, and it's just finding out where the pathway is for that individual as to what was blocked, what was causing the increase. And once that increase in that hormone is there, we know how it's leading to, cellular DNA damage as well. Does that help, or was that just a bunch of rambling? What other questions you guys have? Anything about the enhancements?
So all dairy.
All dairy. So
I have to have no goat cheese.
No goat cheese. So any other animal's milk is for that animal. We're going to take a break from it for a while.
And butter, right?
So butter, cheese, yogurt, kefir, cow's milk, goat's milk,
Bread.
Yep. So from a grain standpoint, all of your breads and all of the grains, rice, oats, barley, buckwheat, the so-called healthier grains, amaranth, quinoa, some of the ancient grains, all of those are.
Is wheat out?
Yep.
Wheat's definitely out. Wheat is at the bottom of the totem pole. It is the worst one there is.
So no rice crackers then, hey Ryan?
So no rice crackers for now. You're going to take a break from
All right. Okay. That's better.
So maybe you need to run your experiment this weekend.
Remember the first time around, this is what pissed us off, was the bread and butter. We were all pissed off. It's like,
This is the hardest week for me. I remember.
we were being punished. We were taking away our bread and butter. Our bread and cheese.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I
and
was like,
cheese. Mhm.
okay, I gave up sugar, but I just fill the gap with cheese, and I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
you're taking away my cheese.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
all my vices, one by one.
This is the hardest. Is the bread and cheese, bread and butter, bread and butter.
So what about bread, sprouted bread?
So Joan, we're going to take a break from it now, but if you're looking at the hierarchy of grains, rice is kind of more WildFit neutral. There's no a lot of benefit from it, but we're not seeing as much harm. And then one thing that does benefit grains, because grains have these chemical defenses that are designed to protect them. And as soon as you sprout them, you're changing it from a seed to a plant, right? And a lot of those chemical defenses are go away. So sprouting grains would be better. I would encourage you to sprout other seeds besides grains to make different things out of, because there's alternate flours that you can use as well, like cassava and almond and coconut and different nut flours and things like that, that wouldn't necessarily be from a grain.
Okay, it's just for me, Ezekiel has been my go-to bread.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
I'll
You'll have to take a break from it.
So can we have those cassava chips then? The siete chips?
Mm-hmm.
What? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, phew.
For now.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
So, from a WildFit standpoint, yeah, Siete's brand of, tortillas and tortilla chips, the cheeses, the sauces that they make and things like that, would all fit into, you know, a summer and fall type season. So
But in spring, but cassava is a root, right?
cassava is a root. Yep.
So,
Okay, I'm really confused, but I know it'll come to me.
we're jumping ahead, right, Joan? We'll fill in all the gaps for you. So at this point, just you know, some alternatives that you could use would be from a potato standpoint, sweet potatoes are still in. From a root, all the root vegetables are in. So, you know, there's different arrowroot and cassava root are different things that, you know, you can find as flours that would be alternatives. Hence their siete is using, you know, cassava flour to make tortillas as well as chips out of them. And siete also has different tortillas made out of different flours. So they've got almond flour and chickpea flour and, you know, cassava, and there's one other one. Can't remember it, but there's another one. There's 4 different ones that they have from a tortilla perspective.
And you're saying that these are good? Good. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Actually, let me get something I want to ask you.
And then, Joan, there's a great guide. I don't know if you noticed underneath the video, there's a few documents, but that guide is really awesome at saying what you can and can't eat. It lists lots of information.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It does feel like a lot to take in.
So can I ask about these cauliflower chips? They're really delicious. So there's cassava, organic sunflower oil, cauliflower, chia seeds, sea salt, vegetable blend, a bunch of vegetables, garlic, parsley, celery seed.
Yep. Would work.
All good?
All good.
Okay.
What brand is that? It sounds yummy.
yeah, what
They're
brand?
really, really good. They got a real nice crunch to them. You know, the way the other grain-free
I'll bet you
ones,
do.
they're kind of like don't have a crunch. These are really nice. I think they're from Whole Foods.
Uh-huh.
Okay, stop it.
How you doing, Nicole?
You're on mute though, Nicole.
How you doing? This is your first time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Is this everybody else's at least second time?
No, I'm first.
Joan's her first time.
Okay.
You freaking out?
I think more of the dairy than the grain.
Can be.
I'm kind of freaking out because I've done the keto. So, but yeah, I'm more freaked out about the dairy.
The cheese.
Yeah.
So we can talk about the different alternatives for dairy as well, but there's obviously all the nut milks and alternative milks that you can use that have cheeses and yogurts and different things made out of alternative milks as well. So anything you can get from cow's milk, you can pretty much get from a nut milk as well. There's different alternatives out there, but I am going to have to run. I've got another meeting I need to attend. You guys have a great weekend. I'll see you all on Sunday. Enjoy the
What
buffer.
time? What time on Sunday?
You guys are 10 a.m., right? 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you.